use the chat feature. And Mr. Jones, if you can go ahead and get us started, that'll be perfect.
Sure. We're trying to give everyone a few more minutes, but it's 5:59, so we will get started. Welcome, everybody. This is definitely a exciting time for all of us, specifically for our scholars. Before we get into the intro, again, I want to welcome all of our visitors. Thank you to all of our family that may have joined us, all of our educators that are a part of the conversation, any of our community members that are here to join us to share in our scholars' perspective and experience. We thank you, and to all of our Propel family and staff overall, we thank you for being here today. Again, this is our voices through the virus. This is our opportunity for our scholars to actually share their perspective on their experience during this time. We really want to make sure that we're showcasing them and hearing them out during this time. We've heard during this time a lot of discussion and conversation, and it's been good and supportive conversation about how we can support families, how we can support communities, and how we can educate our students virtually. But there's been limited amount of student and scholar voice. And that's the purpose of today, is to give our scholars an opportunity to share their perspective on this experience. So just a few little housekeeping things that we want to make sure that everyone is aware of, is that this is, again, to showcase our scholars. So those of you that are in attendance, we want to definitely welcome you and give you the opportunity to introduce yourselves in the Q&A section. So definitely feel free to introduce yourselves in our Q&A section, putting your information, where you're from, who you're representing in that Q&A section, because we definitely want to know who you are and want to thank you for joining us today. Also, during this time, if you have any questions that you want to pose to our scholars, please put it in that Q&A section. We are going to designate time to actually field some questions in the Q&A section from our visitors. So please feel free to do that. We definitely want to make sure that we recognize those questions. So with no further ado, again, if I didn't do so, I want to welcome you. My name is Ron Jones. To those of you that don't know me, I currently function as the Community School Liaison here at Propel Schools, and also in a assistant principal capacity and principal in training. I also want to take the opportunity to join the other members of my team who actually, we worked consistently to put this together. And I'll definitely give them an opportunity to share anything if they want as well. I have Mr. Chester Stoney here as well. He's our Community Schools Liaison. We have Mr. Michael Day. Mr. Michael Day is a part of our community and wellness team from the South Side. And then we also have Mr. Daniel Mason. And Mr. Daniel Mason is our community and wellness site coordinator at Propel Homestead. So thank you, gentlemen. And you'll get a chance to hear from them again as well. Myself and Mr. Day will be fielding questions, as well as Mr. Stoney and Mr. Mason will also be working together during this time. So at this time, I want to actually have an opportunity, rather than me or Mr. Day introducing our scholars, what I want to do is have our scholars actually introduce themselves. And you don't have to give a long spiel, all right? But this is your voice. I want to give you an opportunity to actually share your voice. So I want you to introduce yourselves. It doesn't have to be long and drawn out. Just give us your name, what school you represent, And if, again, there's anything else you want to share in your intro, please feel free, because this is your time. So I want to open it up. And what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to start with our high school students first. So if you want to introduce yourselves first, and then we'll go down the line.
Okay, I'll start. Hi, I'm Tanaya Davis. I'm a junior, well, now a senior at Propel Street. And I'm very excited for this panel and to voice my opinion on this coronavirus pandemic.
Hi, my name is Jordan Price, and I'm a rising senior at Propel Street High School. And yeah, I'm just thankful for this platform. Glad to be here. And I'm also a member of Propel Schools Action Team. So.
Hi, I'm Vaughn Knight. I'm a graduate of Propel Street as of next month, and I will be attending Lincoln University to study law, and I'm just glad to be here.
All right, I think that's it for our high school students. We want to move down to our student representatives from Northside and Hazelwood.
I'm Carmela. I am from Propel Hazelwood, and now I am technically a 9th grader at Andrew Street, but still an 8th grader. So.
Hi, I'm Sheree, and I'm not an 8th grade no more, but this is I'm coming from Propel Northside, and now I'm a 9th grader at Nazareth.
Hi, my name is Makara. I go to Propel Northside, and I'm in 8th grade. And yeah.
All right, can we all, first of all, just give an initial round of applause to our panelists at this time, because this is really, really a big moment. And these students really are courageous for actually being at the forefront today and really being assertive in taking this opportunity to share their experience with us. So definitely you are well deserving of an applause this evening. So with that being said, and no further ado, I'm actually going to turn it over to Mr. Day, and we're going to start getting to know each other.
Thank you, Mr. Jones. Again, welcome everybody. Welcome panelists, welcome attendees. Thank you for joining us, educators, community leaders, principals, administration, everybody. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Your support means the world to the scholars. You being here shows that you not only care, but you support and have the back of these scholars. And so we thank you for your support to our scholars and to Propel. As well, scholars, thank you for coming on and being courageous and brave. And so let's have some fun. So what I'm gonna do is let's start with, since Mr. Jones started with the high school, let's start with 8th grade going into 9th grade. Let's start with that crew. And the first question we're gonna just come out the gate with is, what has been your experience during the quarantine, during the COVID-19 pandemic? What has been your experience? 8th grade, 9th grade, Makara, Sheree, Ella.
For me, it's personally been kind of hectic not seeing my teachers, but luckily, since we have like their phone number and email, if like I have a question, I could get it to them directly, and I don't have to wait for them to answer all these other kids or them not hearing me. So it's kind of like a 50-50. It's crazy, but then it's kind of calming.
Good. Anybody else want to chime in on this? What has been your experience during the quarantine?
I personally don't don't like it. I like being in the classroom better. I don't like learning. The hardest for me has been math on the computer. That's hard. Not like having your teacher like to raise your hand and extra out.
Yeah.
Everything else is okay. It's a little boring in house all the time. But it's a good number. Other than that, it's good.
Got it. Anybody else? What's up, high school? How's things been going during the quarantine?
Honestly, it's been rough. The transition from like being in school and learning and then learning online has been rough for me because I'm an extrovert for the most part, so I'm like, really like face-to-face conversation is like what helps me learn. So being on the computer and kind of like trying to figure it out myself and like with like limited time with my teachers has been a little bit difficult, but it also has given me more flexibility with my learning. So like I can do my work whenever I want to. But since we didn't start like mandatory work until like months in, it was like my schedule was all thrown off because people were like, well, you're not doing schoolwork, so do you want to do this? And can you do this? I was like saying yes to everything because I don't know how to say no. So now like I fit my schoolwork into the time slot I have, available, and I just had to like, get back on track. So it's been a work in progress to say the least.
To piggyback off of that, do you all feel like you have to be more disciplined as a student now, being that you're at home learning and getting your work done or needing to get your work in? Do you feel like you have to be more disciplined, or is it easier or is it harder being at home? What do you feel?
I definitely say the discipline part is, will play a big factor in being able to move on and move forward. And it's actually very beneficial that we had this happen because in a lot of schools are on a lot of, self-discipline for the students. So I feel like this is a good, teaching moment. But all in all, I think this whole pandemic has been kind of overwhelming because in school, I'm used to having, a time and a place to get online and do my college stuff and, apply for financial aid, and then I'm doing work, but it's, on a paper and pencil. But now everything's online. So I got to find a time and place to, prioritize my college stuff and then finish my schoolwork before I graduate. It's been pretty overwhelming, but over the time I got it down pat.
Good. Anybody else? Is it harder or easier to be at home doing work?
I would definitely say it's harder just because I'm more of a hands-on type of learner. Like I need to be able to see the teacher, I need to be able to understand like what she's saying, all that stuff. So learning over the computer, it's definitely harder because I, can't get that hands-on type of learning. So it's definitely been harder.
Good. Mr. Jones?
So you all really have touched on just some important things regarding this COVID-19 experience and how it's impacted you just from the start. The question I have for you all is, based on the challenges that you all have faced and a few of have shared, how have you stayed motivated during this time? What are some things that you've been able to do just to keep pushing, to keep yourself focused, to keep grinding, keep grooving, through the day-to-day for these past 2 months?
I would say that since I'm an 8th grader and I'm going into high school next year, I tell myself, okay, high schoolers don't slack. This is like big. It's not middle school no more. So I have to remember that if I want to be successful in high school, I have to like know like this is real, and I can't just like start kidding around and like not do any work, because I know the work that we're doing over quarantine will actually help me in high school.
Nice. Thank you. Thank you. That's good. That's good. I'm gonna make another tie-in with that, Carmela, but want to open it up to someone else. Go ahead, any of our high schoolers. Anyone else?
I can definitely agree with that. And being that I'm, taking this big step into college, it's like when I get on campus, it's all on me. I have a choice whether or not I want to do this work or not. I can either do the work, finish strong, or I can, slack off, be late, and pay the price for it. I'd rather learn the discipline now so that when I get up in college, I'm in a habit of completing my work on time, asking for the help whenever I need it on my own time. And it's like, I feel real independent right now, and I think this is a good stepping stone for when I go to college.
Good. Thank you. Thank you.
For me, it's been like my teachers emailing me, and like my mentors like telling me like, you need to get it together, like you're about to be a senior, and like my senior year like coming up so quickly, and then right after I'll be in college, like I need to make sure my grades are exactly where I need them so my GPA will stay, the same or even go up. So like, they're just like, it's constant like support for me. That's been like, pushing me to do better. Cause like I said, it was hard at the beginning, but that really helped me like get it together.
Thank you. Thank you. That is awesome. That is awesome. Anyone else want to respond to that question? Here's a part two to that question almost, when we're talking about motivation. And one of the things I do want to just acknowledge what you all said is that you all weren't looking at the motivation you were able to maintain wasn't about the here and now. You all weren't focused, even though with the challenge, you weren't focused on what's going on in front of you. All of you mentioned about what you're aspiring to. You're aspiring 8th grader to 9th grader, aspiring college student, college students, and maintaining your GPA. And those things, it's not about focusing on the here and now. You're looking at the steps that you need to take to move forward and progress. That's true motivation. And to have that type of motivation at this young age, kudos to you all, because there's adults that don't have that kind of motivation. So definitely keep that up. But on the topic of motivation, I want to ask you all, that's how you motivated yourselves, but did any of you have to actually kind of put your place and show some empathy for some of your peers and actually motivate them? I know, Carmela, you kind of touched on that, but did any of you just, because of what you may have been experiencing, you may have been communicating with your peers, and they just said, you know what, I just can't do this anymore. Have you all had to actually step in and just kind of, pep them up a little bit and get them back on track? Has any of you had that experience? And if so, share that with us. You haven't? All right, Carmela's the only one? Okay, all right. Because sometimes that can be a situation where it's tough, when they see that we're leaders, it gives us an opportunity to lead others. All right. What I'm going to do, I don't know, I want to actually give an opportunity to see if we have any questions in our Q&A. If we don't, then we'll continue our questions from our end, but I wanted to see if Mr. Stoney or Mr. Mason had any questions that came through the chat.
Yeah, so the first question that came through the chat, I believe, came while Jordan was introducing herself. And it says, what is Propel's action team?
Okay, so the student action team is a leadership. It's well, first of all, it's an after school thing, and it's a leadership program with. Right now, it's just Propel Red Oak Hills High School and Propel Andrew Street High School, and we hope to add Montour in next year or the years to come. And basically, what we do is we usually take one goal every year and try to work towards it all year, and then we go to Advocacy Day at the Capitol building in Harrisburg, and we talk to the officials up there and like about what we've been doing whenever we advocate for after school. And it just teaches you leadership skills and like interview skills and different stuff like that, like confidence and everything like that. We just we partner with Saturday Light Brigade a lot, and we just did a town hall last week with the Lieutenant Governor of Pennsylvania. So yeah.
Great. And Principal Yanoff just asked a question. So students, what can teachers or your administrators do to help make virtual learning more feasible for students or more accessible? And that can go to anyone.
Personally, I would say my teachers so far, they're keeping up with us, but I would just say continue to be there. And this one teacher, not gonna say no names, took a whole 2 days to like respond to a question. And Saturday when they responded, I'm like, I already turned it in, so if it's wrong, it's wrong. But just be there and like keep like giving us that motivation, because me personally, sometimes I need like a little push because I could get in my head and I'll just stop doing any work. So just be there and like engage in our learning.
Thank you. Thank you. Anyone else have a response for that? Miss Davis, what about you? What's your thoughts on that?
Can you ask the question again? I'm sorry.
So how can your teachers or your administrators make this virtual learning more feasible or accessible to you during this time?
Honestly, I can agree with Carmela. The teachers have been doing really good with keeping up like with the work and doing the little Zoom calls and trying to, you know, help us as much as we possibly, like as much as they can through the computer. So I've honestly feel like they're doing their part pretty well and they're still good. So I enjoy it.
Right. Thank you, Tanai. I appreciate that. I always say Tanai's too cool for school. I tell you. All right. What we can do, so I'm going to actually turn it back over to Mr. Day, and we'll share some more questions with our scholars and get some additional perspective from our scholars.
Thank you. Attendees, please feel free to ask as many questions as possible. We want to keep the dialogue going. And so we want to get answers to you all as well. So feel free, no question is crazy. So we want to be able to hear what these scholars are thinking and feeling and dealing with during this time. So scholars, here's a question. Nobody alive right now has ever been through a pandemic. Not one person has ever been through a pandemic such as coronavirus. With that being said, we have all learned something different about ourselves during this time. We've seen some good things, bad things, some interesting things about us. during this time. So what would be one thing that you found out about yourself during this time of new normal, a new life during this coronavirus, this pandemic? What is one thing?
That I could cook. I never knew I could cook. Like, I never took the time to actually take frozen food, thaw it out, let it sit. I never took that time. So I could cook. I'll be downstairs really whipping it. But, yeah.
Period. We got a chef coming up, cultivating our culinary gifts and everything. I like it. Might have to invite you over to our breakfast buddies over here at the Wellness Center. You know, we got 200 people and every time we serve breakfast over here, so I might need your help. Who else? What's something new that you found out about yourself during this pandemic?
I found out that I have crazy patience. I didn't think I had. And there was a lot of little stuff I found out I can do. I'm actually good at digital editing. I edited pictures. I touched up on my poetry. I did a lot of little things that helped me pass the time. And when I felt things weren't moving, I just I took up meditating as well. So I
Wow.
kind of figured that my patience level was
Cool. Who else?
I noticed that I need to start checking in with myself more. Before the pandemic happened and we were on lockdown, I was constantly on the move. I was going to rehearsal, I was going to school, then to work, then to rehearsal, and then by the time I got home, I had homework and I was going to bed. And it was constantly, moving. Whenever everything stopped, I was like, whoa, what is this? I was in a shock. And I noticed so much about who I am as a person and stuff that I needed to deal with within myself. And I'm just learning new things and new stuff that I like. I journal everything now. It's just, I don't know, it's it's the little things. And
Yeah.
I spend more time with my siblings, which I wasn't able to do because I was always on the move. So it's learning about them and stuff that's really made my heart full.
Awesome. Anybody else? Nobody learned how to build a car or, Okay. So to piggyback off of that, what do you feel like during this time you have more time for yourself, for school? Do you have more time with family? Or you feel like it's more busy? Do you feel like you keep it moving, keep going? Are you trying to get your schedule together, your calendar together? How do you feel?
I feel that now that I'm at home more, my schedule is more crazy because I wake up around 10, which is terrible, and I'm behind in my work, and I also have to help my little brother with his kindergarten work, and I never realized how difficult kindergarten work was. It's just because they have to make them write on a laptop, and their handwriting's a mess. I want them to record it. I'm just I barely have time to just relax, unless it's a Saturday or a Sunday. But it's been really busy, and I really don't appreciate it at all.
That's good, Carmela. That's a good perspective. Anybody else? Do y'all have more time on TikTok or y'all have more time on social media? How about you, Sheree? How do you feel? You have more time or you have less time?
I think my schedule got more busier because my sleeping schedule is messed up. So I stay up at night, and then the next day I don't wake up until 1 o'clock, which is really bad. because I don't have weekends no more because I don't have all week to finish my work. So I just do work like all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And when I take breaks, it's usually like, what are you going to do now?
Yep. Anybody else? Well, in the midst of that, how are you guys taking care of yourself? How are you self-care is the, the word. What is that? What does self-care look like in y'all's world now?
Lately I have been losing weight. Like I've been like losing weight, eating healthy. So I've come up like a whole little morning routine. I wake up super early. I wake up at like 6. I take a little jog, take a little walk, come home, eat my breakfast, and I try to occupy myself so I won't be like, as busy. I mean, not as busy, but like as hungry as I was before I started trying to lose my weight. So I've been focusing on losing my weight, getting my mental together, and doing the best I can for me. Like, yeah, whatever that.
Mr. Knight?
I've been doing pretty much like on the opposite side. I've been focusing on putting on weight. I've been doing some home workouts, trying to keep my body lean and fit, trying to make sure I'm staying active because I will be playing football at Lincoln, and so I want to make sure my muscles are still intact. My muscles are still having a mindset that like I'm ready to go whenever you. And so it's like I've also been focusing on my mental health. I have been keeping in mind that this isn't forever. This is not how everything's going to be. And, relax yourself, keep focusing on, the higher, because I keep in mind that I have like this ideology I live by, and it's, if something can happen, it will happen. So I always keep in mind the positive things that can happen so that I'm, positive energy, and I'm looking forward to the positive thing.
Good. Positive vibes is key. Anybody else?
Mr. Day.
Sorry.
No, go ahead, Carmel.
I've been working on my EP. Like I said, I was busy before quarantine, so I was trying to work on my EP in between, like when I had free time, which was like never. But now I'm like always working on it. I'm always like revising my songs and everything, and it's just been beautiful because I'm at a point right now where it's just like I never thought I could reach the potential that I'm at right now, and this is not even the half of it. Like I don't think so. I've been working on my EP and staying prayed up, trying to keep myself focused and motivated to keep going every day, and just trying to stay positive, trying to stay healthy, all that.
I can't wait to hear this EP.
Mm-hmm. Jordan's actually going to sing us out at the closing of this. So
period.
I'm joking.
Anybody else? Carmela?
I'm doing pretty good. Like I have my skincare routine, waking up a little later than I should. But recently my friend passed away, and I'm just trying to like keep myself distracted. I'd be like working out, I read books, just trying to spend more time with family, because the time with people is really precious and we have to pay attention to that. So I was just like trying to distract myself so I don't like get in my thoughts and like get emotional, because we can't do that now. We gotta step ourselves up.
Yep. Thank you for sharing, and our condolences and love to you and your family. There are a lot of people that are dealing with that as well, and so we send support and love and peace to everyone. Anybody else? How are we giving self-care? Sometimes self-care is just shutting it down, just shutting it completely down, shutting your phone down, laptop down, and just like, I need some quiet. Y'all ever had to do that? Just like, I need some quiet. Even though I may be at home, I still need some peace and quiet, you know?
Yeah, there was a couple times where I had to, you know, close the laptop screen and be like, I gotta take a break. I can't really glue myself to this. I gotta relax, you know, remember that I still got a real world to, you know, look forward to.
Yep. So here it is. Have y'all been able to still connect with y'all's friends, you know, from school? How has that been a challenge, or is it easier now, or is it harder to connect with your friends from school? What are the ways and methods that you've been using to connect with your friends? What does that look like now?
It's easier. Tanaya's my sister, so she came in quarantine with me for like 12 weeks. No, I'm playing. But she was over here too. We were quarantining together, so it's a lot. But it is a lot easier because I can call my friends whenever because ain't nobody doing nothing. So I'm gonna be like, you're ignoring me at this point.
Like, I know what you're doing because we're doing the same thing.
Right.
I definitely agree that it's a lot easier. And along with, you know, communicating with my friends and getting in touch with my friends from, you know, high school, I've actually made a lot of friends that I'm going to be coming up with in Lincoln University. I have the time to join a couple of group chats with the incoming freshmen. I keep in touch with the freshmen. We make calls all the time. We're talking all the time, getting to know each other, and, you know, just looking forward to coming in on campus in August, hopefully.
Cool. Anybody else before I go to the Q&A questions? Okay, Mr. Mason or Mr. Stoney, what questions do we have in the Q&A?
So we have a question to the panelists. Do you think there are challenges that we aren't aware of that would help better support you as students? You want me to? Do you need me to repeat it? I don't know if everyone heard me. All right, I'm okay. Thank you. Do you think there are challenges that we aren't aware of as school staff that you think we can do better to help you?
I would say since like our teachers don't know what we're doing like at our homes or anything like that, they only know what we're doing on the laptop, or unless they like physically come to our house, which I doubt that's gonna happen. But I would just say like every once in a while, like check in with us, like not as like a whole group, maybe email like us personally and like, hey, are you okay? Is there anything like you need help on? Recently, my English teacher, she FaceTimed me out of the blue because I was struggling with this one thing, and we got through it together. So I would just say, like, do little check-ins. Like, I'm not saying every day, but, like, every week or so, just so we know that you're there, like, during the tough times.
I can say, like, more recently, being an African American student with everything going on right now, it has been hard to like stay focused, like because there's like with us being in the pandemic and then also with police brutality still being very prevalent during the pandemic, it's been like really hard for me to wrap my head around like how this is happening. So that's been something I've been dealing with that, I mean, I'm sure everybody's aware of, but just like how it's affecting us as students.
Yes. Good.
Yeah, thank you.
Anybody else? Okay, Mr. Mason, what's next?
So what has been the best part of virtual learning thus far?
I would say
You can go tonight.
I would say the time limit that we have on our work. So knowing that we get our work at the beginning of the week and we have all week to finish, like, you know, the little bit of work that they gave us, that's probably one of the best things. Because in school, we get the work for that day or like that couple minutes and it has to be finished by the end of class. So knowing that we could start the work on Monday and maybe go back to it on Wednesday and work on it again on Thursday, like knowing that we have our time, you know, spaced out, it's easier.
I'd definitely say that the timing is perfect. You know, the fact that we're basically given a week to complete some work, and it also helps with gaining responsibility on whether or not you want to complete it in time or not, and whether or not you want to be ahead of the game or not. And, you know, to those who decide to knock it out and finish it as soon as they get it, I salute, because it took me a while to actually get the hang of it, and now I'm knocking it out and Monday, Tuesday, and just relaxing the rest of the week.
Awesome. We got a few more, Mr. Mason.
Yes, sir. So what concerns do the scholars have about returning to school in the fall or moving on to college?
My biggest concern is that we do return in the fall, because I don't want to do another school year in quarantine, and not my senior year. Like, I'll be so sad if fall comes and I'm like, well, I'm not going back to school until college. Like, I'll be so sad. Like, it's not even funny.
Yeah, my biggest concern is definitely being able to, you know, do work on campus this year, because I want to be able to go in my freshman year and say, you know, I had a great freshman year. I don't want to, live my freshman year and say, oh, I had to do online work because of quarantine. I didn't really get to, get the taste of college for my freshman year. So I'm hoping we get to, go on campus and do what we got to do.
I would say my biggest concern is when we go back in the fall, hopefully, I just want to make sure everyone's caught up and like not like behind, because if we get in and so don't know this and so don't know that, and I feel like it's just going to like make us have a stop for that school year and like make us be behind when we haven't even really gotten to learning. I've seen that happen a lot, but hopefully it doesn't. So we're like all on track and we're all ready for learning, and we don't have to like stop around and try and catch everyone up.
Awesome. One more, Mr. Mason.
All right. If you could create a theme for this school year, how would you describe it?
The theme I'd, come with is, very, it's more of those, take every negative and turn it into a positive. And with every negative, there is positivity, because, in order for it to be negative, it had to be positive at some point. So I look at it as it's not the end. And, most things that begin must end. And with that being said, I feel as though the fact that we began this quarantine and we started and this pandemic started, it's going to end eventually, and we will, reign on top of it and continue to go.
Good. Anybody else? Okay, Mr. Jones.
Wow. I'm just impressed again. And I'm just really, the responses that I'm hearing from you all, I think we're really learning, which is really the purpose of tonight, is we're really learning a lot from you all. And I think if us as adults learn anything from this, is we need to listen to our scholars. We need to listen to you all. We need to listen and understand what you all have to say, and not listen to respond, but listen to understand, because really you all have shared some things with your self-care, with, being able to deal with losing a loved one, thinking about your futures, thinking about what the fall looks like. Those are just huge things to really reflect on and prepare for. And it's never easy to do so. One thing I want to ask is, from that standpoint, when you have those challenges, and I know Propel has tried to reach out. We reached out. The individuals on this call were part of, checking in with families, seeing how they're doing, seeing if there's any resources that you all have needed, seeing how you are emotionally as well as physically. But I wanted to ask you all first, in terms of emotionally and from a mental health standpoint, do you feel there's anything additional that we can do to support you in those elements, in terms of dealing with things emotionally that you may be struggling with? Is there anything else that we possibly can do to support you better?
I would just say continue to be patient with us, and just like you guys want us to be patient with you, we're all learning how to handle this, because like you said, nobody alive has had to deal with this before. And I think that my teachers have been pretty patient with me and my peers. So just continue to be patient with us and trust that we'll get it together.
All right. Thank you, Jordan. Anyone else? No one else on that question? Well, here's another question for you. You all have been home normally prior to March 13th. You all spent the majority of your day inside brick and mortar, inside the school building, and then you see your family, after 3:30 or after 4 o'clock. What I want to ask you is, how has this time impacted your communication with your families at home? How has that impacted you all in terms of how you're communicating with your families?
So prior to, us not being in school, I stayed with my sister, and it was just me and my sister. And after then, I ended up going over to my mother's house, and I, stayed over there with my younger siblings and stuff like that. And I got to spend a lot of time with them. And it helped me build the bonds back, since we haven't seen each other in a long time. And so being that I was able to, get over there and connect with them a lot more, it helped. And it was actually good that I did this, because I will be, departing late July or early August for college. So, spending this time was, very valuable.
Thanks, Yvonne.
I would say spending so much time with my family, siblings to be exact. During the school days, I would see my little sister in the hallway, and she'd always stick her tongue out at me. She's a 4th grader, thinks she got all this sass and she has all this attitude. But now that I'm in the house with her every day, we're starting to build a bond where it's not I hate you, I love you. It's we're always there. She's always in my room trying to do face mask, trying to jump on my bed. I'm just this is kind of strange. Maybe this whole quarantine is kind of doing something good for us, because I don't think if the corona was a thing, I think we would still be fighting every day, trying to get away from each other. So I think that really helped me and my sister's bond.
Excellent. Excellent. Thank you, Carmela. Anyone else? How about you, Northside? Any feedback from you on that? Well, here's another question for you, and then we're going to field a few chat questions, and then possibly by that time, unfortunately, it might be time to close out. But on that same note, in terms of your home experience, has your responsibilities at home changed at all since this pandemic happened? Now we know Tanaya is home cooking gourmet meals, so we know what's going on with her right now. But really, have your responsibilities changed? Have you had to do more? Have you had to do less? How does that look for you?
I feel like.
Sorry.
Go ahead, bro.
Go to Tanaya, and then we'll go to Carmela.
Okay. I feel like I've taken more ownership with them, like from being in the house longer. Like, so I haven't, like, my mom hasn't really like assigned me to any chores. Like, she hasn't told me, oh, clean this or clean that. Like, she hasn't been really strict on that. But like, I've like taken ownership and I've started to just clean like randomly. I'll clean the bathroom. I'll move the kitchen around. I'll sweep the living room floor. Like, I'll just do stuff that like I normally wouldn't do without being asked. So.
Thanks, Tanaya. Carmela?
I like to agree with that. Usually, like during the school day, my only chore would be like just to wash the dishes and like clean up my room, because that's the only thing that I could do coming home from like basketball practice or anything like that. But now it's just like, even though my mom ain't saying to do this and that, I'll do it because she's like working still. Like, she isn't home where she can help clean. So I'm like, you know what? All my work's done. My little brother's work is completed, so mine as well like help clean up, because when she gets home from work, sometimes she got that attitude, and I'm not trying to get yelled at. So I'm like, you know what? Let me just clean up. So I don't get yelled at. So.
Thank you, Carmela. All right. Anyone else? Anyone else before we take a few more questions from the chat?
I was just gonna say that before quarantine, I didn't do chores. Like, I didn't have to do chores because I was always doing stuff. And now my mom is like, you're not doing anything else. So she like gave me like 2 little chores to do because I'm about to be out on my own. And it's like, I know how to like clean and everything, but she just wants me to like have some responsibility now.
Excellent, excellent. Thank you all again. I mean, those were great responses, and really reflects on just you all taking, again, that mature initiative to do things that you normally wouldn't do. Okay, we're going to turn it over because we definitely want to, get some of those questions in the panel from our attendees. So we're going to turn it over to Mr. Stoney and Mr. Mason to see what good questions we have in the chat.
Excellent. Melissa Garvin asks for our high school scholars, what advice do you have for our students that are transitioning into high school? We have 3 students, who are making that transition into being high schoolers in the fall. So what advice do you have for them?
I'd definitely say be patient. There's a lot of things that's going to, be overwhelming, or a lot of things you're going to, feel like you want to give up on. But the key is to just be patient. And organization is going to help you a lot. Going into high school, I wasn't organized at all. And a lot of things just were thrown at me, and it just caught me by surprise. And I wasn't patient when I started high school. So like, it took me some time to adjust. If you have the opportunity to, if you're at home, during quarantine, take the time to, work on your patience and get yourself ready to be organized and focus on being, taking that big step into high school. Because, as much as you take a step from elementary to middle, it's all the same. Take a big step into high school.
I would say stay ready so you don't have to get ready. Like, make sure you're on top of your work. Make sure you do everything so it's like you're not in any type of shock whenever you're like behind on work. You know what I mean? So make sure you're on top of everything and stay ready because high school, there's a lot of changes that happen. Like, you lose friends. You go through a lot of different emotions. So just like brace yourself and just be patient with yourself, like Savon was saying, and be nice to yourself. Also, keep your circle small because if you're going to Andrew Street, it's a small school, so you don't have to be friends with everybody. It's okay. Like, and also, this is the last one. It's not about being friends, it's about the relationships you have with your teachers, because at the end of the day, your friends can't write you recommendation letters. Your friends can't give you different opportunities. So make sure you're in good standing with your teachers before you're worried about how anybody else feels about you.
Excellent. So this question can go to any of our scholars. We're looking to be better educators for you. So what can we do to make your experience better when you come back in the fall? If you come back in the fall, and even if you have to stay virtual, how can we make this experience better for you?
Although I'm leaving, next fall and I'll be attending college, I feel as though as much as you would want a student to be immersed in the learning, make them feel comfortable with, being immersed in the learning, make them feel like it's home, make them feel like they're coming to a place where they're familiar with, because a lot of students are, afraid to take a step into, the learning environment because to them it's pretty foreign. And they don't feel, that welcome. They feel as though they have, they're just thrown responsibilities and are obligated to do this and do that. And it makes them go into like a fight or flight response. And a lot of students, they take flight. They're not ready for it. So I feel as though as long as you make them welcomed and make sure they're comfortable, everything will be perfectly fine. And it'll be a very, very good learning environment.
Anyone else? Eighth graders? Ninth graders, sorry.
I would agree with being just helping us get comfortable, even though I'm a ninth grader, but still eighth grade. I'm just thinking of how the first day of high school will be. I'm getting real nervous, even though I start high school in a couple months, and I just think I'm starting high school tomorrow. It's just makes me so overwhelmed, and I just want my first day to be welcoming, where I don't have to worry about everything, or I just am not ready for high school at all. It's just scary.
Right.
So is there something that you miss the most? I know a lot of your school year, everyone's school year has been cut short in terms of your interaction with your peers. So is there something that you miss the most about being quarantined and not being able to physically be in school?
I honestly, can you hear me? Y'all can hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I honestly just missed the schedule. I enjoyed waking up, going to school, seeing I really just missed the schedule. But coming home after school, then doing what I do after school, it's it was I was used to it. So now that I don't do that, I just have so much time, nothing to do. So confusing.
School itself. Just miss going to school. So, and I could always go back and visit, but it's not going to be the same as going there. I went there since I was in kindergarten. So it's not going to be the same, like, just going to visit. It's still like being in a classroom, wearing uniforms, having shirts up there all the time.
Wow. Excellent. Was there anyone else that wants to respond to that?
Any questions, Mr. Stoney? We can get 2 more in real quick.
I have a question from Ms. McClellan. What has been the most challenging part of virtual learning?
The most challenging part of virtual learning.
I guess for me, it would be just trying to find my schedule again, because now that I'm not following the school schedule anymore, I get to create my own, and I have to manage my time, which is the most challenging part. But I also feel like that's like the blessing about this, because I need to learn that anyway. Like, we all need to learn that anyway, so it's good.
Yeah, definitely. I'd say, just telling yourself, I got some work to do today. I got to do it. I got to get it done, without having, someone in front of you saying, okay, here's the work. This is what you got to do. That they're giving it to you. And at this point, it's your choice whether or not you want to succeed or fail. And for you to take that step and say, I want to succeed and complete the work, I feel like it's a big stepping stone, and a good improvement in personality.
Excellent. So with I know I heard Tanaya say some things about new duties she had to have at home. You think about the things that you had to do while you've been home, the extra responsibilities and things that you've been taking care of. Is there anything that you want to see us help you out with in that regard in school, such as how to balance a checkbook, mock job interviews, resume building, things like that? Are there things like that we could add to our curriculum that you would like to see moving forward?
I think that since I'm about to go into my senior year, I think that some like scholarship type things, like writing essays for scholarships and like knowing how to find like actual scholarships, because there's a lot of scams out there now. So I think like having like a type of like curriculum like that would be cool.
I would say maybe like having like a little job interview type, because I was gonna start like my first job, like officially I was gonna work like for Propel like during the summertime, but since like this whole pandemic, I can't do anything, and the interviewer just came to the school like without giving me a heads up, and I'm just like, I look a hot mess. I don't know any of the questions, like I'm not prepared. So maybe just like having a little section in there that like gets us like thinking of what type of questions and like how we're going to answer, or like how we're just going to be in general for like a job interview.
Anyone else? What can we add to our curriculum coming up? Okay, thank you.
All right. Thanks, Mr. Stoney. Thanks, Mr. Mason. Thank you, scholars. Again, a round of applause, please, to our scholars. And again, this is true applause that you all have. I mean, words can't express how proud we are and how well deserved that is. I know you all probably, if you looked at my screen, all you saw was teeth this whole time because and also with Mr. Day, Mr. Mason, and Mr. Stoney, because we all are very, very proud of you all really representing first yourselves, and then secondly, representing your respective schools. And that's very important. And you did yourselves proud, you did your families proud, and you've done Propel very proud. So we really appreciate you. Again, I think we touched on it earlier. You all the first, Mr. Day, said it so eloquently in terms of you all being the first in terms of us to really experience this pandemic. No one has experienced this before. And for you all to be able to be so courageous and share your experiences with us and just really have the fortitude to push through, even with all of these challenges that you are facing. And really, you had no idea, what was coming before you. There's a saying that it's about fearing the unknown. And a lot of times we do that, but you all have been fearless. Again, I'm going to repeat, you've been fearless through this pandemic. And again, we just thank you so much. And we also want to say thank you to your families as well that actually allowed you to actually partake, in this event tonight. We really appreciate you all. Thank you all to our attendees as well. We thank you very much. Scholars, I don't know if you realize, but we have almost well over 40 attendees really who had an opportunity to witness greatness tonight. And again, we are so appreciative of everyone that was able to join us tonight. Thank you to the Propel team that allowed us to put this together, from Dr. Checkin, to Ms. O'Neill, and you all had an opportunity to meet Ms. Parson as well. Just thank them, for allowing us and trusting us to actually facilitate this event. So thank you again. I want to thank my team, Mr. Day, Mr. Mason, Mr. Stoney, the men with like ideas. We definitely, we appreciate you all. Scholars, before I close out, I just want to give you all an opportunity. If there's one, if you have, if not, it's fine. Is there one last thing that's just pressing that you just want to share right now? We wanted to give you that opportunity to do that, if so. If not, that's fine. But again, that's why we titled this event, Our Voices Through the Virus, Your Voices Through the Virus. So we wanted to give you an opportunity. Again, if there's anything pressing that you just wanted to share, whether it's uplift, whether it's just, just to close out, we wanted to give you all that opportunity.
I just wanted to say to the ninth graders that are the coming ninth graders, like, you guys are going to be fine. Like, you guys, it's gonna be a transition for sure, but you guys are going to do great. Like, don't stress it too much, because the anxiety of going into high school, like, I was there, and it's really not that, I mean, it's that serious, but it's really not that serious. So just take a breather, you got it. And I just wanted to thank, you guys again for listening to us and like taking the time to actually like hear what we have to say, because I feel like sometimes there's not always room for that. So I'm glad that this happened.
I also want to say thank you for giving me this opportunity. I love sharing my voice, and I want to contribute anything to Propel that I can give. Anything that'll make Propel better, anything that'll, make the students at Propel feel welcome, I'm there. And one thing I want to leave to, the upcoming seniors and the upcoming freshmen is that, the course of high school, it's very, very, very consistent. And each year you want to feel, yourself overwhelmed with something specific. And you always got to keep in mind, there's always something new. But at the same time, it's nothing you're not ready for. When you come in freshman year, you come in, organized, ready for anything, not expecting too much responsibility, because the more responsibility you put on yourself, the more pressure you put on yourself. So I definitely say come in just ready to work. And, senior year, it was very overwhelming and it felt like a lot. But if you're organized and you're very timely with what you do, it'll feel like it's nothing. It'll feel like another year of high school and you're ready to get out and go.
Thank you, Jordan. Thank you, Savon. Anyone else? All right. Ms. Parson, anything from you?
Thank you, Mr. Jones, and thank you to all the students. I just want to take another second to thank Mr. Jones, Mr. Day, Mr. Stoney, and Mr. Mason for taking this time and giving our students this opportunity. Can you guys just give yourselves a pat on the back? You guys did an awesome job. I'm sure the students appreciate this as well. You guys put in that time and energy. So I just wanted to get the opportunity to say it, for myself and for the team, all the team of Propel. Thank you guys so much for giving our students this opportunity.
Thank you, Ms. Parson. All right. Well, unfortunately, and this is it's not goodbye. It's see you later. But thank you all again. Really appreciate you, scholars. And we shall see you all very soon. And again, thank you to our attendees. Everyone, please be safe. Have a great rest of your evening. Again, we thank you, and we shall see you all soon.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good job, team. You did it.